And away we go. It is chicken dinner. Technical issues aplenty here on a Tuesday night as we get you ready to bet some golf. Quail Hollow for the PGA Championship. And we have a treat. James Mazzola, Brady Kannon, going to hop in here in about 5 minutes from now and break it all down. I had tweeted out that Mazzola was going to join us. He was on Chicken Dinner way back in the day, like 2017, 2018, and not really doing the media thing anymore. But he's decided, I'm going to come back. I'm going to join the show tonight. So can't wait to talk golf with him, one of the best in the biz. And, of course, Brady Kannon, who I used to work with at VSiN, to chop it up on the links. And it's a pretty top-heavy leaderboard. Not really a surprise there. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and Bryson DeChambeau, all 10-1 or less. But really, it's a two-horse race at the top. And that's Scheffler about 4.25, Rory 450. You may hear, and you may continue to hear, that Rory's had success at Quail Hollow. And everybody knows it. And the books know it. And the bettors know it. And, oh, by the way, you're paying that Rory tax on the Masters as well. So you're talking about a guy coming into the Masters, McIlroy 7-1, 8-1. Now he's 4-1. I see at Caesars. He's 425 in Vegas. Jeff Sherman's got him 450. DraftKings 5-1. So you are definitely paying that premium on McIlroy. It's not to say that I don't like him. I probably won't bet him. I've got a couple positions we'll talk about with the guys. And a lot of love from a lot of people I respect on Justin Thomas, who you can still find north of 20-1. The form is good. He's starting to string multiple rounds together, and that's something to pay attention to. If you don't want to do outright, that's fine. How about JT top 5? Like almost 4-1. Top 10, I see plus 200. That's a guy that's getting a bunch of love from people that I respect. So we'll get into the golf, like I said, 5 minutes from now. We'll also talk ponies. Colin Sheehan will rejoin us. He gave us all sovereignty at the Kentucky Derby. The 18 got home, beat the 8, journalism. Colin's going to stop by and give us his thoughts on the Preakness, which, believe it or not, is this Saturday. And then Corbie Craig will join the show. Usual chaos. No idea where it's going to go. But Corbie will join the show about 8:45. I'm very perplexed right now. I want to talk a little bit of basketball here. Somebody holding the Boston Celtics, that's me. I'm that somebody. I bet them after game 2, thinking, well, they dominated for 3 quarters out of 4 in game 1, dominated for 3 quarters out of 4 in game 2, and came away with no win. So I'm thinking, well, they'll figure it out. There's too much talent there. If I would have told you in game 4 that they'd be up 14, late third quarter, Tatum's balling, you probably think blowout. You probably think they step on a throat and win going away. Nope, quite the opposite. Knicks, resilient as ever. Thibodeau makes the adjustment. Brunson freaking balled out. And now Tatum is done with an Achilles. The series price is so far from where we started. I'm going to pull up the odds logic screen here. Remember, Boston opened as high as minus 900 to win the series. Minus 900. You're looking at a playoff price right now of New York minus 5.25. I see minus 550. How about Chris? 579. I want nothing to do with this number. Nothing. I'm going to swallow this loss. It's going to be a pretty big dent. It is what it is. I didn't lay it pre-flop. I did it after game 2 going into game 3. And then, of course, Celtics come out and crack them in game number 3. I don't think I've ever had money on a team that has been the better team for, like, if you extrapolate it all out and we go 4 quarters a game, 4 games, 16 quarters, I don't think I've ever seen a team be in control for 12 or 13 quarters and be down 3-1. That's not an excuse. It's just an observation. And Will Hill, who works with me at Fox and does the Bear Bet show, kind of alluded to this last week when I was saying, I'm gonna bet Boston. I'm gonna bet them down 2-0. I don't care. He said, if you look at their path last year, not a lot of toughness, not a lot of big moments, not a lot of circle the wagons type shit. They didn't go to a game 6. They didn't go to a game 7. They didn't get pushed. And even if Tatum doesn't get hurt, guys, I don't think the Celtics win that game last night. I mean, it was already basically out of reach. So now what? I got this question all morning. What do we do now? Because I got people that laid -10, -15. You just take the loss. Sometimes you wear it. I'm wearing it right now. But no, I'm not betting Boston to complete a 3-game parlay. It's a big number, but they want you to bet it. They want you to come in and go, oh, Boston, I can get 425. I can get 435. No interest there. You think this team suddenly is going to be able to close in 5, 6, and 7? Not getting any more of my money. Just something I wanted to talk about because, there's a lot of this. All right, well, now it's a good payout. The price is nice. I think they're dangling that carrot right in your face. Come on in. We're going to roll the red carpet out for you. Oh, you want to bet Boston? Here you go. Here's $4. They have game 5 at home. Obviously, game 7 at home if it gets there. I am liable as it is, and I am done. I am done on Boston. It's over. You swallow it and you move on. It's also over for Golden State. How about 17-1, 18-1 on Golden State to come back and win these series? If you thought the bait was bad here on Boston, it's even worse down here. It's crazy, too, because you will see a lot of people that will bet $20, $30, $40. They'll bet Golden State on the series price. Well, if it happens, it's not going to happen. And when you get 1,000 people to think that, oh, it's only $20, only $40, just giving money to the book. Just giving money to the book. I wouldn't bet Boston. I wouldn't bet Golden State. I wouldn't even bet Denver. It feels like we have the Final Four. It feels like it's going to be Indiana, New York, Oklahoma City, and Minnesota. Just as we all thought. Coming into the season. All right. I see my guests are here in the green room. We're here to talk some golf. Joining me from Vegas, my former co-host at VSiN, Brady Kannon. Look at that back. You're not really at that place right now, are you?
No, that is the magic of technology, my friend. How are you?
I was going to say, you really upped your game, man. You must have hit a bunch of outrights and just got a penthouse or something. You're looking good. You're feeling good. Ready to talk some golf.
Another major championship, man. You bet. Let's do it.
It's exciting. And joining us also to complete this roundtable is, I call this man a chicken dinner OG. He was coming on before the move to Vegas. And I love talking golf with James Mazzola, who I know doesn't do a lot of media anymore. He actually sold the microphone. So we're going stag here, but you did make it through, buddy. How you doing? Oh, James, you got me. Oh boy. All right. We'll work on that. I don't know what's going on there. He's very excited.
He quit media after I had him on my golf show about a year and a half ago or something, I think. That was like his last straw.
He's very excited on the keyboard there. So we'll see what's going on. We'll try and get him reconnected and reestablished. So Brady, take us through as we try and reestablish connection with James. Horses for courses. You were one of the first people to ever tell me that when we sat across the desk in Vegas together. And you said you got to look at certain guys at certain courses. The common name at Quail Hollow is going to be Rory.
Right.
JT has had success there as well. But for those that aren't up to speed on Quail Hollow and what you need to win there, take us through your breakdown of the course.
Yeah, first of all, Sam, I wouldn't pay too close attention to the last PGA Championship that was there in 2017. That's when Justin Thomas won. And I heard you speaking earlier about some sharp people liking JT this week. I don't disagree with that at all. He's in great form. He won recently at the RBC Heritage. He's a PGA champion, twice over in his career. And sure, he's won at this golf course. But my point is, in August, that's when the traditional PGA fell on the calendar, right? In 2019, they moved the PGA to May. And so what you have here in this part of the country is basically a different golf course as far as the turf, the grasses, and the conditions. And I'm familiar with all of this being out here in Las Vegas. Most of our courses are Bermuda grass base because Bermuda grass can withstand heavy heat. And you know how it is in the summertime here. It gets pretty darn hot. Well, similar in Charlotte during the summertime. And when that PGA was played in August, you had this Bermuda grass that was thriving and thick and nasty, and the rough was, tough and this and that. In May, it's much different. They have that Bermuda grass during the winter months, it will go dormant. Okay. And they have to overseed in order to keep it green year round. You have to put a grass on top of it that will flourish in the colder months. And they've done that here at Quail Hollow with what is called the ryegrass. And then on the greens, they have a poana grass. So it's a little bit of a blend that we have here in May. And ryegrass is a much thinner, weaker, wispier turf than Bermuda is. So the whole handicap behind this is the rough is not going to be nearly as penal in May as it is in August when it's that thick, hot, nasty, sticky Bermuda grass. So I think that even you've got a long golf course here where there is a total emphasis on how you do off the tee. This is as tough a golf course to work off the tee as we have on the PGA Tour calendar. Most tournaments that we go to week in and week out, success is dominated by iron play, strokes gained approach. It's about equal with strokes gained off the tee at Quail Hollow. So the driver is very, very important here, and it tends to cater to longer hitters. And I think it will do so even more so with the rough not being as penal. A lot of times the shorter hitters are more accurate guys, and the longer guys are guys that tend to spray it around a little bit. Well, they can afford to spray it around a little bit here if that rough is not going to, cost them a shot or worse. So the difference in the time of the year when this is being played is something to take into account in your handicap. And you talk about horses for courses. I talk about the importance of driving the golf ball. I think the other course that this connects with the most for me on the PGA Tour is Torrey Pines, where they play the Farmers Insurance Open every year in January. This year, they actually played the Genesis Invitational this year. They usually play it at Riviera, but the fires in Pacific Palisades, they doubled up on Torrey Pines. I think those two courses are very similar as far as the work you need to do off the tee. And horses for courses at those tracks are Jason Day, Ludwig Aubert, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, big hitters that drive it long and straight. Those are the guys that, got my attention first and foremost this week.
So the guy you didn't name, when you were talking about what you're looking for there, I was closing my eyes and thinking that's Bryson.
Yeah.
Just a bomber off the box, gonna hit it straight, hit it far. But you didn't throw his name out there. I'm a little surprised by that.
Oh no, he's on my list. He's at the top of my list, and I went back and forth with Bryson. Was I going to add him? Was I going to stay away? I've been on him twice recently. I was on him in Live Miami the week before the Masters. He was in the final group on Sunday in the lead and blew it. I was on him after the Masters in Mexico City. He was in the lead on Sunday in the final group and blew it. And then I stayed off of him a couple weeks ago in Korea, and of course he wins. He's been in the final pairing on Sunday in his last 4 starts. That includes the Masters when he lost to McIlroy. But no, there's no doubt about it. Bryson has finished 9th and 4th here at Quail Hollow. Of course, this is the site of the Wells Fargo Championship, which has been a regular on the PGA Tour since 2003. That's a little bit unique. Typically, the only major that we get to see the same golf course every year is Augusta. The rest of the US Open, the British Open, the PGA, they all rotate. But in fact, this course, we have a little bit of an advantage because we get to see it every year. Back when Bryson was a member of the PGA Tour, he finished 9th here and he finished 4th. He's done well at the correlated courses. I mentioned Mexico City. Chapultepec is another one. A lot of these driver-heavy golf courses. Trump Doral in Miami. Bryson's had a number of top 10 finishes there. And no, he doesn't just drive it long. In fact, he's the longest hitter in this field. He also drives it really straight. If he were a member of the PGA Tour, he would rank 21st in driving accuracy. Think how powerful that is. You can hit it past everybody and in the fairway. That's tough to beat. That's a pretty good start for every hole you're playing here.
That's not fair. It's a
Right.
it's a level of acumen that we could all dream to be able to pull off. As I'm going to try again, Brady. I'm going to try and bring in our guy James Mazzola. JD, you hear me?
Can you guys hear me?
There he
We
is.
hear you. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the audio. We hear you. I don't know why it's not working here, but we hear you loud. All right, there you go. Now I see you moving a little bit. I see that handsome face.
Let's go, boys. I'm excited.
All right.
So as I was saying before I tried to bring you in the first time, one of the OG chicken dinner guests talking golf 2017, 2018, before the move to Vegas, James Mazzola with us. And then I brought you in and teed you up and you weren't there. Oh. And then Brady goes, I think it's my fault because I had him on one of my shows and then he kind of vanished off the grid. So maybe it's just you and Brady coming back together and the internet said, nope, fuck that.
We're back. No, we're back now.
How you been, man?
Doing great, man. Everything's wonderful. You know, I will say I just had such a good time capping golf when all the best players were playing. And then the fucking live thing it really sent me for a little bit of a whirl. Plus, you know, life gets in the way from time to time. And I was just, you know, mostly doing it for fun. And, you know, but here we are now. And I have a little more free time on my hands and I'm watching a lot of golf. And so I was like, should I dip my toe back into the water? And you reached out and I was like, fuck it, let's do this.
I got him at the right time, Brady. I texted him I think it was nighttime, Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. So he had already had a million White Claws and he's like, yeah, I'll do it. I am curious. You brought something up, James, and maybe we'll go 1-2 here, James, and then Brady. A guy like Jon Rahm.
Yeah.
You know, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, Barry Rosner, who's been betting and watching golf for decades. And he goes, why does Rahm care anymore? I mean, he's so rich. He's got the family. It's growing by the minute. The money is never going to be an issue for him, for his kids, for their kids. He's put a little weight on, as we all do.
Hey.
I watched him at Augusta. It was there was Cheeto dust on the golf club when he's done swinging it. Dude, guys like that, I don't want to put a blanket over everybody from Live because it's not fair. But are some of those Live guys just, I don't want to say fat and happy, but are they fat and happy? Like they win, they lose, they don't care anymore.
I think you could put a giant fucking tarp around all of them with that notion, to be honest with you, because if we look at their performances in the majors, other than Bryson, and he's a very unique character as it is, it's all shit, right? And I actually have a bet on a Live guy that we'll go over later, but ultimately it's really hard to have that hunger when you're just going out there competing against a bunch of has-beens from Europe, right? Or guys who probably weren't going to be competing much on the PGA Tour for the next few years. That fire just has to die, unfortunately. And for a guy like Rahm, it sucks because I really do think he cares about legacy. That's the crazy thing. That's why him going was the worst of all of them. And that's really when I was like, this is fucked, because he was a guy who cared about majors. He cared about the history. He's a student of the game. And then he took the paycheck, and I don't blame him, by the way. I would have signed that paycheck way faster than he did. But ultimately, it does kind of, makes you a little fat and happy. And, that's a hard thing to do. And, it's hard to come back for that 4 times a year when the rest of the time you're just sitting there cashing checks and, cooking burgers in Arizona,
Same question to you, Brady. Is it possible to quantify motivation for guys that are so rich that it really doesn't matter anymore?
Yeah, I don't know if it's possible to quantify it, but I think certainly qualitatively, we have our own 2 eyeballs where we can see this stuff. And I think James is spot on. I think you're headed down the right path here. I think Rahm specifically, I don't think, I think the honeymoon is over. The bloom is off the rose. And I don't think he's really enjoying it. I don't think he's ever taken to the rock and roll music that's playing. Guys are wearing shorts and, oh, this is fun. No, you're right, James. He's a student of the game. He's about legacy. You know how much he cares about Seve Ballesteros, who's probably rolling over in his grave watching Jon Rahm do this stuff. I think the other guy that's over this stuff is Brooks Koepka. Brooks does care about majors. We always knew he had the reputation that he didn't care about the weekly event, but he does care about majors, and he doesn't it looks like it's starting to wear on him, this quote unquote dumb tour. It seems like that's what they think, I'm done with this. Yeah, the money's nice, but yeah, I don't know if it's everybody. And I think some of the younger guys, that they still have some fire, but But a few of these guys, I think specifically Rahm and Koepka, I don't count DJ because I think DJ's half retired anyway. But Rahm and Koepka are two guys that really stick out to me that I think are kind of done with this stuff.
I'm looking at this. Look at this market here, James. I mean, not to cut you off. Like, look at this. Look at these prices on Koepka. 55 to 1.
Yeah.
50 to 1. 50 to 1. They're daring you, James, to come in. They want you to bet Koepka. They daring you.
That's a guy I love betting when he was in form. And I will just to backtrack a little bit. I mean, Rahm's last two majors, you're looking at 7th at the Open and 14th. A couple weeks ago at the Masters. His iron play hasn't been good at these events, but I wouldn't count him out this week. But at the same time, it just makes it so much more difficult for these guys to get really ramped up. And let's be real, their previous event was in Korea and in Mexico. That's how you're getting primed for majors. Like, that's not the way to get going for these things. Whereas the rest of the field was at the truest with their best players. I think a lot of those guys kind of walked through the 3rd and 4th round and got their paycheck. We can get into that if we need to, but generally, like, they're not getting prepared on a week-to-week basis, and we're seeing that in the results of the majors. Outside of Bryson, and he's just a weird person.
We have our first question in the live chat on Chicken Dinner from Brad. Wants to know if anybody wants a piece of Kitayama this week. Take it. Whoever wants it, go for it.
Oh, yeah. It was interesting you mentioned that. I looked at Kitayama because one of the things that I'm looking at this week is just pure driving distance. We have a golf course that's getting just saturated right now. It's already long as hell. The greens are going to be firm because they have the sub-air system, so they're going to just suck the air right out of those things, run them at 13. So you got to move the ball. Kitayama's 9th in driving distance over the last 2 years, giving him a huge advantage, which is crazy. He's a little guy. I can't believe he hits that far, by the way. But I actually love him he's basically, it's a top 20 bet. He's not going to win this golf tournament. He's got some matchups you could probably play, but just a pure, horse. This course definitely fits him well with that driving distance, and also he's obviously good around the greens. Any
thoughts on Kitayama, Brady?
Yeah, no, we talked about it before James jumped on, Sam. I think the most important stat for me here at Quail Hollow is total driving, or strokes gained off the tee, which is basically a measurement of length and accuracy. And Kitayama checks that box for sure. Decent scrambler around the greens, not typically a great putter, but if he can move it out there in the fairway longer than everybody else, like we talked about, that's a really good start. And top 20, maybe you dabble a little bit in that. I think he's probably a really good bet for a top 40, which is probably still plus money, maybe plus 150 or so.
Yeah, I went to top 10, 18 to 1, top 10, top 20, about 650, top 30, you can get 7 to 2.
And you also have him in a head-to-head matchup against Ben Griffin, who is just not going to do well in this golf course.
Yeah, I don't know. This course doesn't seem to me to be the right fit for Ben Griffin. I'd take Kitayama. And I'm going to guess the price. I'd make Kitayama minus 120.
He's even money, so yeah, close.
Okay.
Oh wow, you can get even money on that, huh?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So Griffin's a favorite.
I'm writing this down right now. Okay, all right. So Kitayama even money against Griffin. That is good to know because I make, I don't do a lot of outright stuff. I mean, if somebody tells me to bet somebody, I do. I get Jeff Sherman's list every 2 weeks or so. He always has better numbers than I do. He's like, I bet this guy at 90. I'm like, that
is a running joke, Sammy. I don't know if you know that, but Wes Reynolds, myself, Jay Cornegay, John Murray, Sherman's numbers on outrights, I don't know if they even exist. He sent me the list on Monday. He's got Daniel Berger at 135 to 1 or something like that. The guy's 60 to 1 now. I'm like, Sherman, what are you doing? Betting this in 2014 or something? I mean, he is a classic guy for having the wackiest numbers on these outrights.
We were sitting at Naked City in March. You were wrapped up. You couldn't come out. Humans was there. Sherman was there. There was a bunch of guys there back in March. And after we had, Humans and I were doing a bunch of shots, and I started getting into Humans, and I go, hey, how come Sherman always gets the best number? He's like, don't get me started. He'll give you a guy 80 to 1, current market 40 to 1. I'm like, thanks, Jeff. Thank you for that. Thank you for giving me the guy $40 off.
Poor guy's not even here to defend himself.
Yeah. But Jeff knows. He knows he does it, and I think he now does it just to piss us off even more. It's very, very good stuff. But I don't play a lot of outrights. I've done so much more top 10, top 20, and head-to-heads. I don't know how you guys have changed.
The way to make money.
obviously for content purposes, people want to know who's going to
Exactly.
win, who's going to be in the
Yeah.
mix. But it is so much easier to beat one guy or be in the top 20 than it is to win the whole tournament. And unfortunately, people don't want to grind, right? They want it all right now. But, top 10, top 20, I think definitely worth a look on Kitayama, given what you guys have said. I'll speak for you. Not going to lean on what you guys are saying, but given the way that he kind of fits the bill here, I mean, a top 20 bet at 6-1 might not be the worst idea. Let me ask this question, because this is very popular, because I know a lot of people that do these like golf drafts, and a couple guys have the option to go 1A. And they're both asking me, should I take Scotty or Rory? And I'm torn. Obviously, Rory has the history here. He's won 4 times at Quail Hollow. He's also playing better golf right now, I think, than Scotty Scheffler is. And we all know he got the monkey off his back and has the Grand Slam. But Rory was 8-1 at Augusta, and now he's 4-1, 450. I mean, they're very similarly priced here. Let's call them both 9-2. Brady, who do you take first in a draft, Scotty or Rory?
I'd take Rory. It's hard to do, and part of me would not be completely surprised if Rory missed the cut. We saw the first time Scotty Scheffler ever won the Masters in 2022. He came to the PGA and missed the cut. I mean, that accomplishment is so large. And then you throw on top of that he completed the career Grand Slam. Just look at guys that won the Masters, how many majors they've won after that. In the last 15 years, there's only a couple of guys that have won the Masters and then gone on to win another major. Rory might not win a major again if we're looking historically. But, I mean, you know how it is, Sam, whether it's college football, NFL, when you ascend to such a pinnacle, you're kind of ripe for a letdown, right? Rory couldn't be more ripe for a letdown. And then you throw on the fact, oh my God, he's won there 8,000 times. Of course he's going to win there this week. It's so it pains me to give you that answer, but I'd have to go with him because Scotty, on the other hand, never plays this course. He always chooses this week to skip on the PGA Tour, and he did again this past week, even though they played a different course. But this is the week he likes to skip. I don't know if it's his wife's birthday or what's going on, but the only time he's played Quail Hollow was in 2022 at the President's Cup. And oh, by the way, he went 0-3-1 in his matchups there. So he hasn't had a lot of repetition or success at this golf course.
I see you nodding, JD.
Yeah, because it was super interesting point that I was going to bring up in this conversation. I'm glad that that it was touched on, because why aren't you going to this golf course? It's usually a pretty good event. It's great. It's a great golf course by all the players love it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's nothing too entertaining from a viewing standpoint. But why is he skipping this course? It's super strange. I mean, does he personally? If I were to just make a guess, I don't think he likes the greens. I think there's something about the greens that just doesn't suit his eye. He did play in the President's Cup and just kind of shit the bed during that time. He also has all the Texas events usually are predecessors to this event in North Carolina. So I think, and he does heavy Texas events being from there. So I do think it just kind of is a spot in the schedule as well. But that's way more boring than just saying he just doesn't like it here, right? So I mean, I understand everything that Brady brought up. I don't think that's an issue for Rory. I love the fact that he went out last week, got 7th without getting a single stroke on approach, just kind of lollygagged at a top 10 at a signature event. So, I mean, I think he's primed and ready. I make him a favorite over Scheffler. And the markets are interesting because the head-to-head market actually has him a dog. You can find Rory plus 110, plus 115 in that full tournament matchup market, whereas the outright market has him basically even. I think it's all Rory, honestly. I'm not going to bet Rory because I can't use that number. I prefer Bryson. I heard Brady talking about Bryson as that came on, but generally, I don't like Scotty here at all. I don't think this is a good course for him. I think he's not what he was last year, and Rory. I mean, what on earth more do you need? This is literally his perfect golf course. This is Rory Country Club, as Smith said earlier in the week. So
Rory Country Club.
Rory's
I like
the
it.
guy here, and the older guy, and I just he probably took the Masters and went home with his kids and hung out, and then I don't think the hype is there. And if anything, the monkey's off his back. He might just rattle off 1 million majors now, which is what we thought he was going to do early in his career, right? So I think that's more likely than him having any kind of letdown here, personally.
It is funny how the psyche works. Well, I can't bet him because everybody's betting him, or I can't bet him because the price is too low. And then he goes out and he dominates, and you're like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't overthink this. Let's go back to you, James. Let's say we're doing a draft here and you pick fourth, and Rory, Scotty, and Bryson are off the board.
Yeah.
Who do you take next for outright?
I love this. I'm taking Xander. And I understand he hasn't had a good season this year. Obviously, he had that the injury, the oblique rib, whatever that was, which just plain and simply just hindered his practice ability, which, you have to stay sharp if you're going to be successful in the tour. But we're never going to get Xander at 20-1 again. So what are we doing here? And considering all the question marks with the guys from 20 to 50, basically, and there's a ton of them, every single one of them. We can go down a list of those guys. All we're talking about with Xander is a little bit of rust. Well, he's going to knock that off at some point. And even a rusty Xander, which, I think we can all admit that, that was the case. He's playing pretty decent golf, being rusty. 11th last week, 8th at the Truist, 18th at the Heritage. Obviously, he's going to gain strokes on approach. His driving distance is perfectly fine. It's the putting that has let him down a little bit, but he gained almost 4 strokes last week. So I think he's ready to break back out, and we're getting 21 on a guy who won 2 majors last year. And normally we're looking at 13 to him. Even when he wasn't winning majors, he was 13, right? So I love Xander this week. I think he has the least amount of question marks of those guys after the top 3. So he's actually a bet for me.
Okay, Brady, Scheffler's off, Rory's off, Bryson's off, Xander's off. Where do you go?
Well, my answer would have been the same as James. I really like Xander this week too. And I think, everything he's saying is spot on there. This is an interesting little trend. And we talked about it briefly before, Sam, when they moved the PGA Championship to May. There's been 5 times now that it has come immediately following the Masters. And in 4 of those 5 times, the winner of the PGA finished top 10 at Augusta a month prior.
Cool.
Xander finished top 10 at Augusta last year and went on to win the PGA. Xander finished top 10 at Augusta again this year. So did Oberg. So did Jason Day. So, you know the top 10 at the Masters. But all of those guys obviously fit that category. And Bryson, one of which is Xander again for the 2nd straight year. I think Valhalla is also a correlated course to Quail Hollow, heavy driving type course where he won last year. So I'm with James 100% on Xander. After that, it's probably JT. Gosh, who else is there? Boy,
a bunch of guys.
Yeah,
they're all huge question marks. Like they're all.
Well, the reason I say that though is because it's like I was talking about with Bryson. I bet a number of guys. I bet Ludwig Oberg back in January, immediately after he won Torrey Pines, because I think Torrey Pines is a big harbinger toward Quail Hollow. They're very similar. So I bet Oberg, when he did that. And I still think, I might even take him to answer this next question. But it's again, total driving, guys that are long and straight off the tee. Rory, Oberg, Scotty, Bryson. And I'm getting down the list here, looking down the odds for it. I'm like, well, who do I want? Who's a good long shot to take? And there was nobody this week that makes more sense than Bryson DeChambeau, and I didn't want to take him, and I missed the best number and all, but I couldn't leave him off my card. And so for me, after you get to about 5 or 6 guys, I just don't know if there's a whole lot of guys here. Now, there's always going to be a bunch of guys on the leaderboard that surprise and come out of nowhere and stuff like that. But I do believe the winner is going to be one of the big names we're talking about. It would be Thomas or Oberg for me in that next slot, and maybe Oberg, because I think Thomas might be Oberg is a little bit under the radar right now because he's kind of come off the boil just a bit, but his game is perfect for this course.
Yeah.
I do think, not to go down this road, but let's go there. The golf handicapping space, especially on X, is very funny because I have made so many bets where I got a great number. I got this guy at 70 and he closed 50 and then he misses the cut. Right. Or I got this guy at 110 and he closed 80 and then the favorite win. It's such a maddening sport sometimes because the fundamentals of getting good numbers, obviously very important. But at the Masters, at the PGA, at the US Open, at the Open, it's usually one of a very select few. So I wasn't even going to ask Brady. You brought up long shots, the name of one of your former shows, by the way. I never come into a major looking for long shots. I just don't. If it happens, tip my cap. But I'm not a person that, all right, give us a long shot that's going to win. Because in all likelihood, you might get a good number, but it's not going to happen.
Well, that's exactly, like I was talking about with this PGA, again, moving to May. All of them have been in anywhere from like 15 to 18 to 1 to like the highest being like 35 to 1. It's been, a chalkier type tournament since the move to May. The only guy that has thrown off the trend there was in 2021 when Mickelson won at 300 to 1 or whatever the heck he was. But for the most part, it's been pretty chalky. We know the Masters is typically very chalky. I tend to agree with you, Sammy, that, like I have 8 outright plays this week. 4 of them are 30 to 1 or less, and 4 of them are 60 to 1 or higher. I went either chalk or long shot, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I wanted to, before we get out of here, I want to let you guys kind of tackle anything we haven't hit. But before we do that, let me just show where you can follow my friends here. I'm going to share my screen if you're watching live on YouTube or X. This is where you find James Mazzola at JMazJD, who came out of retirement to join us on Chicken Dinner. Does not do the media game anymore, but again, used to come on the show all the time back in the day. And then this is where you find Brady Kannon at Las Vegas Golfer on X. And I also wanted to point out, Brady wrote a piece for golf.com. He writes for golf.com all the time. Very, very cool, Brady, to see PGA Championship early betting guide, 4 picks that our gambling expert loves. And then the best part, by Brady Kannon. So did you write that headline? Did you call yourself a betting expert?
I'm not the headline guy. And just to give you a little clue, I think they use that same tagline every week. 6 guys our gambling expert loves for the Valero Texas Open. 4 guys are a gambling expert. Now, the later that one came out, again, those were early bets, 4 of them that I'd made, starting back in January. That article came out a couple weeks ago. The latest one came out today, and they used a different headline. They said our gambling expert or whatever prefers Bryson over Rory or Scotty, and here's why. So, but it's always kind of similar, that gambling expert, Sammy, if you will.
Yeah. Our handsome, big-hosed golf expert, Brady Kannon. Right? Like, it's just keep getting deeper and deeper. So, all right, check it out, golf.com. That's the newest piece. I'm showing you the one that Brady sent me over the weekend, but great stuff at golf.com. Last question to each of you. Take this wherever you want. It could be a bet. It could be an angle. It could be whatever you want. You got the final word here on the PGA Championship. James, you first.
So when I build my cards, I like to try and spread it out a little bit, right? But when you take Bryson, which I have, and Xander, which I have, you're going to have to get down there deep in the nitty gritty. And I love what Brady said about the Masters top 10s correlating with the PGA Championship since the move to May, because I love Patrick Reed this week. Yeah. I don't care about driving distance for Patrick Reed. He is just one of those gnarly, gritty, fuck you. Just everyone hates him. We're not going to be able to watch him hit a shot this week, by the way. That's not going to happen. But he can absolutely get it done here. 2017, finished second, has an incredible scoring history at Quail Hollow. I think he's actually a pretty popular pick, so I know this is not like groundbreaking, but at 70 to 1, he goes really, really well with those guys at the top of the market. And then I just want to throw something crazy out there. I know this is just probably, I haven't heard anyone tout this guy this week. I have a weird feeling about Jordan Spieth this week.
Yeah.
Look, he's got
2 career Grand Slams in a row, James. One for Rory, one for Jordan. Huh?
You never know here.
A little trip down Narrative Street.
Just make the case here. Jordan Spieth's game is absolutely all over the place. You don't know what you're going to get. But here's what he has shown this year. He has shown tournaments where he has dominated the field in driving, dominated the field in accuracy with his irons, dominated the field around the greens, right? Whether it's chipping and putting. He just hasn't put anything together for a very long time. But you're looking at numbers of like 70 to 1 for Spieth. And his game is pretty, even with that said, with all the fluctuations in stats, he has finished well. Can he close? I don't know. What's that pressure going to do? He's been a long time since he's won, but what's really the difference between him and like a Morikawa who hasn't won in forever, right? So I love Spieth this week at that big number, and so that will be one of the bets that I'll have, and obviously rooting for the career Grand Slam because it's always fun to watch a little bit of history.
I love your breakdown of Patrick Reed. That's very accurate. Like if I close my eyes, I can see it. Yep. All right, Brady, we got about 1,000 people watching live on YouTube and X. Bring us home here at Quail Hollow.
Hey, one more note about Patrick Reed. I mentioned my love for the connection between Quail Hollow and Torrey Pines. Patrick Reed has won at Torrey Pines as well, too. So another little notch in the breakdown for Patty Reed there. I'm with James on Bryson and Xander. Two of my two shortest shots. I played Oberg. You can get a much better number now than I got. I think you can get 25. I think I've maybe even seen 30-1 on Oberg, which is really juicy. And I played Joaquin Niemann, who has not performed well in major championships. He's played in a major now 23 times. He's never cracked the top 15, but I couldn't ignore how darn well he's won half the events on the Live circuit this year. Yeah. And he just won at Chapultepec in Mexico, which I believe is another correlated course. He's done well at Quail Hollow in the past. He's done well at Torrey Pines in the past. I think the PGA is the major that is best suited for his game. He's got length and accuracy off the tee. So those were my four short shots: Niemann, Bryson, Xander, and Oberg. And then my four long shots: Tyrrell Hatton at 60-1, Soon J M at 95-1. I haven't bet on him in forever, and he hasn't won in forever, but the guy's got tremendous history here at Quail Hollow, tremendous history at Torrey Pines, and in the President's Cup in 2022, he tied for the highest scorer on the international side, had great success here. So I think he's bound it. And by the way, top 10 at the Masters, finished 5th. So I think he's another guy that could pop. Maybe you bet him for a top 20. Watch out. Sun JM might show up. And then you talk about Jordan Spieth, and God love it, James. I would love to see him win again. I was looking at this odds board last night, and you're looking, Scotty, Rory, Morikawa, Bryson. If Spieth's name was up there, God, wouldn't golf be good? If he was like 20-1, oh, man. He hasn't really been a part of the conversation for a while, so I'd love to see him get back in it. But the guy that I took a long stab at, 200-1, that I think has a better shot than people realize is Harris English. Yeah, this guy was 12th at the Masters, 18th last year at Valhalla, 19th at the PGA at Harding Park, third at Torrey Pines in the U.S. Open, won at Torrey Pines earlier this year for the Farmers, 4th at the U.S. Open at Winged Foot, has finished 3rd here at Quail Hollow for the Wells Fargo. He plays big boy golf courses very, very well. And he's got the same formula as Bryson and Xander and all these guys. Drives it a long way, drives it straight, and can putt the lights out.
Yeah.
I love this. Go ahead, James.
Just real quick. Also, Niemann, English, get those guys on your first round leader card, please. English, he's off early. I love him. I love that. Absolutely love English.
Wait, what's the price on that? Now I need to look this up.
First round leader on English? Probably
English
to 1 or something.
Got to be 80-1.
95.
Yeah, 80, 95.
Yeah. Get him on your first round English card, first round leader card. Again, the early tee time for him. Joaquin's in the afternoon, but he's just one of those guys who just go bonkers at any given point. So you always got to get him going on those. But English, I absolutely love that play, by the way.
Got a comment from Andrew here. Love to see both of you guys on Xander this week. So both of you on Xander, both of you on Bryson, and maybe a little sprinkle on Kitayama, top 10, top 20.
Sure.
This was so much fun. I know you guys are boys. I appreciate you making time. I know it's a busy time for both of you. It's Masters or a major week for that matter. Good to see you both, and I'm sure we'll do this again soon.
Thank you, Sam.
Let's make it a joint effort in Vegas one of these days. James, he calls me for tea time. Sammy, you come out here and call me for wings. Let's do it all one of these days.
I wanted to mention that Brady, if you ever go into Vegas, talk to him for tea times. It's incredible. He does a great job.
Go ahead, Brady. Teatimes.com?
Yep. Tea Times USA.
Teatimesusa.com. Yeah. All right. Well, I don't golf. That's why I don't know it. I'll just drive the cart. I'll make
bets. And drink
some White Claws.
And drink some White Claws. Yes, sir. All right, gentlemen. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Sam.
Take care.
Good to see those two. James used to come on all the time back in the day. And Brady, of course, used to work with me over at VSiN. a place that some of you know very well. All right, Corbie's been very patient. I apologize, Corbie. We were breaking down the golf here. I got a bunch of bets. The worst part about doing this show with guys like Brady and James is that you come into it with no bets, and now I have 5 bets that I'll make, and one of them wins, I guess I'll be happy. But did you write any bets down from the golf, or are you worrying about baseball and other stuff?
Yeah, I got a few that I'm going to tail. I heard a 70-1, so I had to get a little degenerate special on there, Sammy. But no, I'm mostly disappointed. Listen, I know enough about the Sammy P. Seltzer game. That's the game I know. I don't know any golf, but I am disappointed. I'm curious. Are you a fan? Or are you a hater of the broomstick putter? I only bet on guys that use broomsticks. So Big Z is my guy. I don't even know anything about him, but I do know he uses a broomstick putter, Sammy, and I rock with the broomstick putter. So Big Z, I will have a bet with him. It'll be $20, but one day he's going to win. He hasn't. I've never won a bet with this guy, but I bet it anytime I get talking about golf.
So he's due then. We will also, by the way, we will get some thoughts on the Preakness in about 5 minutes. Colin Sheehan is going to join us, who gave us the winner at Churchill Downs 2 weeks ago. He told you to bet Sovereignty. The 18 got it done, beat the favorite, the unbeatable favorite. Colin called that shot, and he's going to join us in about 5 minutes. I don't know what happened to the Celtics, man. I came in hot on them. I bet them for a couple dimes after game 2, not pre-flop. I laid $1.15. I thought it was a good bet. The result will not be good. You played ball. You know the drill. I don't know how a team with that many good players and that much talent was in total control 3 times and lost all 3 games. I don't know. Like, I don't think I made a bad bet. It's going to lose, but I'm happy with the process. I got a good number. It will lose. I'm not trying to make excuses here, but I can't wrap my head around what the hell happened to the Celtics.
Yeah, I think it is I could be wrong here, but I think we're going to look back in 5-10 years and kind of laugh at this analytic game that some of these teams are playing. The Celtics, obviously, don't get me wrong, it has worked all season, but like, go look at Alabama basketball. They run the exact same schema of like every 3 is a good 3. And I know the math. Trust me, I know the math, Sam. I play a lot of basketball. I understand all of the nuances behind all of this. I understand why they're doing what they do, but I don't think that it is priced correctly in the sense of like time and place for a bucket is the I hate to use the word momentum because it's not a real thing. But like, I mean, I watched Jason Tatum take a corner step back 3 with 16 seconds left on the shot clock, down 6 with 4 minutes left in the game. That's a miserable shot. Like, I don't care what anybody says. And then, no, his was a logo 3. His was a logo 3, 16 seconds left in the shot clock. That's not a good shot. Derek White was a step back corner 3, like 16 or 18 seconds left. It's what they do. I understand that. I just don't think that it is winning basketball. I think in the NBA, it stands more of a chance than in college. You stretch your variance over a 7-game series. I think Alabama basketball is going to struggle to ever win a championship with that kind of basketball. But we saw it. I mean, we've seen it here. Like, it will bite you in the tail so fast. The NBA players are too good. Like, Karl Anthony Towns is scoring anytime he wants to score. I just think it's a lack of. I mean, people might say it's the analytic game, but I think at the end of the day, you got to play defense and you got to score when you can score. So to take this slightly more opportune shot, I just don't think is the right shot.
I was looking at this earlier today. The Knicks had 64 points in the paint. The Celtics had 32. They doubled them up in the paint. And I also was listening to Felger and Maz today out in Boston. They're number 1 here. They've been number 1 forever. They said the Celtics shot more 3s than 2s this year. And the only 3 teams to shoot more 3s than this year's Celtics team are the Harden, Daryl Morey Rockets, who never won anything. So when you compare the two, I guess it doesn't really surprise me that those Rockets didn't have success because James Harden's a loser and always has been. Not like characteristically, but basketball-wise. He's never won anything. It's staggering when you line up the Celtics from this year against those Rockets teams. We're just going to shoot 3s. We don't care what time it is on the shot clock. We don't care what the score is. They're up 20 points, and they're still shooting 3s in the third quarter with 4 minutes to go and there's 18 on the shot clock. It's just the selection of the shots so bad. And it's almost like they're in a race to get to 100. Like the first team to 100 wins. Like they just want to get to 100 as opposed to working the clock and working everything around. And just very, very frustrating.
So it's an interesting take. You say first to 100. Nate Oates actually preaches the first to 80. So it's like an actual thought. Like he is like, if we score 80, I know that we shoot the type of shots that if we score 80 first, like there's no way that we're going to lose that game. So like you bring up a very valid point.
Right. But you don't need to be the first 100 when you're up 20 with 14 minutes to go. It's
make
time.
Make it 140 and then you're probably a little better. Like 100, you could still lose a basketball game. Like, come on.
It's so maddening, man. All right. That's my
so
sulking on the Celtics.
I've done a little bit of like in my modeling. I've try to figure out what is the most predictive metric to a winner. Mine was not a 3-pointer. It was third place was the 3-pointer. Number one for me by a factor of a lot was the offensive rebound. Offensive rebound. And it makes a lot of sense. Like everyone's going to shoot roughly the same percentage. Like if you shoot crazy, like congratulations. But even in the game, the Celtics just lost 48% versus 54%. The teams who can miss those shots and then get a secondary look. The Knicks shot 92 shots that game. The Celtics shot 79 because they lost the offensive boards battle. Like that is the stat that I think turns the game over the most, and what I think teams should focus on significantly more than shooting as many threes as you can possibly shoot.
Let's get to a couple more quick orders of business, and then we'll bring in Colin. This is from Scott, who's watching live on X. Can't rock with Corbie anymore after the broomstick putter take.
Haters, man. Haters.
Woo!
I'm left-handed, so I'm left-handed naturally, so I like weird things. I try to be as unique as possible.
This is from, let's see, Bobo, who I know listens to Bet Sweats from time to time. He's saying hi to Alex, who said hi to us. He has 3 screens going right now. He's watching hockey. He's watching the Ice Guys live broadcast, and he's watching Chicken Dinner. Now, that is multitasking right there. And then from Rob, who popped this in earlier, Brady really knows his shit. Great guest. Brady and James both very, very solid at golf, and I would highly recommend following those two cats. And again, if you missed it, they are on DeChambeau and Schauffele in the outright markets, both of these guys. So something to pay attention to as we hope to hit another winner. We had a guest come on Masters Week, give us Rory. Hopefully we get a PGA winner. And you know what we got 2 weeks ago? We got the winner of the Kentucky Derby. I see our guy Colin Sheehan from Trust the Profits is here. Let's bring him in, smiling a little bit bigger than maybe usual. Came on the show and delivered, baby. When everybody was saying journalism, you said no, it's going to be the 18 sovereignty. I thank you on behalf of the audience, man. Hell of a bet right there.
It's about time. It's about time. You put so much pressure. As a horse player, we go through this every single day trying to find winners, right? But when you only get the spotlight shined on you once a year on Chicken Dinner, it's good to finally come through. And let me tell you, Sammy, walking into work on Monday, you feel like $1 million when everyone's giving you that high five. So glad to get calls from you. Glad to get some messages over on the channel from your followers. Always nice to hit the winner of the Kentucky Derby.
And I appreciate you not bringing this up. I will bring it up. We FaceTimed you from the bar in Chicago. Chaos. Bedlam.
Oh boy.
The
That's
boys
never good.
The boys were we were fine. The boys were buckled though, because the whole bar had, we bet a bunch of different things. We had the sovereignty journalism exacta. And then the horses that I gave out, I know you saw those, Colin. I didn't even do it. My buddy did the superfecta box with those 6 horses, and it hit, right? 18, 8, 21, and 3. So he hit the superfecta box. The bar exploded. I mean, it was chaos. And I go, we got to call Colin. So we FaceTime me. I'm like passing the phone around. Colin's like, I don't know any of these people. But it was
while I'm live on my screen.
It's got to feel good to feel that from I don't want to say strangers, but people that you don't know. You help them make money in the biggest race of the year.
Oh, it's the best feeling. And I got texts from people that I didn't even know listened to me. People that I used to work with over the years are texting me going, hey, my wife told me you like sovereignty, so I bet sovereignty. My boss asked me who I like on Friday. I said sovereignty to everybody. So the DAPs were coming around on Monday of the next week. And that is it is the best feeling. It's why I love this sport, because as you know, Sammy, there's so much data and so much information to pour through and so many replays to be paying attention to all the way back from November. So There's more than just that feeling of everybody else winning. There's that work that goes into it. So it's really a great payoff, and hearing that other people did well is why I do this.
If you're watching right now, YouTube and X, that's the place to watch Colin and his crew. Trust the Profits at Trust the Profits. I don't want to take up too much of your time here. I know it's a Tuesday night and you got a family to take care of and all that, but just give us the skinny. The race is coming up this Saturday at Pimlico. We have post positions. I saw Journalism gets the 2, which I sort of like. If I remember correctly, it's not bad to have speed near the rail. And a horse that I had a couple years ago was National Treasure, who was 4-1, hugged the rail and won that race. But what do we need to know about the race, the Preakness Stakes on Saturday? Where do you want to take us?
Yeah, unfortunate news for horse racing fans that Sovereignty doesn't come back to run in the Preakness 2 weeks later. I think that's your number one story is you're not going to get the Kentucky Derby winner going for the Triple Crown. And we know how much, as horse players, how much attention that takes away from people tuning into the Preakness Stakes. But you do get Journalism coming back. And the weird thing about the Kentucky Derby is for the first time, it really ran to form. I mean, we talked with Staggy leading up on this channel right here for the Kentucky Derby. We talked about some horses. We talked about where they dropped into the tiers, and it pretty much played out that way perfectly. The early speed went out. Early Owen Almighty was a horse I didn't think had a chance, who hung on. But aside from that, I think tier A of this year's 3-year-old crop is Journalism, Sovereignty, and Baeza. They run 1, 2, 3 in the Derby. I don't think much has changed from that. The knock on Journalism is going to be that he ran 2 weeks ago. Last year's winner was Seize the Gray, who, although didn't win the Kentucky Derby, ran on the Kentucky Derby undercard last year and came back in 2 weeks. Sammy, when a horse is going to be the most, when is a trainer going to get their horse the most fit? It's going to be for Kentucky Derby Day. You're going to tell me 2 weeks later that the horse that is at the peak of fitness is not going to be ready to come back, especially when you have the talent of Journalism. I think I put to rest those questions of what did he do in California and can that transfer over to the East Coast. He ran a really great race. He just got beat by Sovereignty on that day. I think it's those two are really head and shoulders above the rest of the crop here. Funny you bring up National Treasure, because to Journalism's inside is the number 1. This is a Bob Baffert trained, goal-oriented, who also won on the Kentucky Derby undercard in race 3 that day. Put up an Equibase speed figure of 109. Journalism got a 101. I mean, this number was huge. The other thing about goal-oriented is I have a tendency to think that on Kentucky Derby Day, the horses on the rail were not doing well. The rain came, the rain went, the track dried out a little bit, it rained again. But there wasn't many horses on the inside of that track that were doing well. Well, goal-oriented was one of those ones. So when in the stretch run, while he looks like he might be getting caught, I had to keep in mind that rail was not really the place to be on Derby Day. So to me, it's Journalism. I hate to come on here and, it's nice giving you the 9-1 in Sovereignty, but I got to be honest, when you're coming back with Journalism 2 weeks later, he's morning line 8-5. That would be an absolute gift. I don't think you're going to get the 8-5. For me, it's how do we do what you did? How do you put together an exacta and just hammer that, Journalism over 1 or 2 or 3 horses. And I think that there's a few that you can put underneath aside from goal-oriented. Bob Baffert, like I said, trains number 1. He's won this race 8 times. Number 3 is American Promise, who's trained by D. Wayne Lucas, who has won this race 7 times. So if he wins, he's going to tie Bob Baffert for the most wins of the Preakness. People are going to pass on American Promise because of his 16th place in the Derby. You look at the past performances and you see he finished 38 lengths behind Sovereignty. I said it on this show, this is a horse that he's a big, huge horse, and he's got to get into stride. And if he gets bumped off his stride, he's all done. And that's exactly what happened in the Derby. You got a much smaller field here. The winner of the Preakness over the last, I was just going through every year of the last 15 to 20 years, is always within 2 to 3 lengths of the leader. You don't have big closers coming in the Preakness generally to win this race. So I want these horses in the inside that have that speed. There's a lot of early speed signed on this race. All of that speed that's on the outside, you have a couple newcomers to the table, a couple horses that only run 2 and 3 times that have shown early speed. I think they're going to get pushed wide. I don't think they're going to keep up with a horse like Journalism and American Promise and goal-oriented. So I'm really focused down on that inside with the 1, 2, and the 3, with journalism on top of those 2 horses.
All right, let's build the bet in a second. I want to bring Corbie back into the conversation here. You know, Corbie
I have many questions.
Yeah, well, and ask away before
I'm
you
excited for this.
ask Colin any questions though. I'm curious how much you've thought about, because I don't think you're the biggest horse guy in the world, but you deal with the numbers. I don't think you bet the horses. I mean, do you bet horses? I don't think you do.
No, never bet a horse in my life.
Well, now's a good day to start. But I wonder, like, how
I've been talking to goal oriented. I don't care what anybody goal oriented. Listen, he says journalism. I'm locked in. This guy's got the rail. I don't know what that. I know what it means, but like
the rail means he's number one. He's the one position. But have you ever like thought about mining data for horse racing? Is that even a possibility?
Yeah, so I know somebody who bets horses pretty seriously. It's one of the biggest bets I have ever seen. One off like not a ton of money was Kentucky Derby, I believe 3 years ago. Date's probably wrong, but when you see a ticket for $200K, of course I consider it very quickly. And so like I think it's interesting. I have a ton of questions on how people go about this. His edge was he was like it's actually we'll just skip that part. It's probably a bad idea. But it's just like, first off, my first thought when looking at this board, I pulled up so I could know anything, but I've never seen any of these names. So like my first thought is like, what is the longevity of a racehorse? Like this isn't anybody that I've seen win Triple Crown or Kentucky Derby years past, at least that I remember. What is the lifespan of a horse? Not lifespan. That's awful, but retirement age, I guess.
Yeah, retirement age. Well, I think that's a huge controversy right now in the sport because horses are getting retired earlier and earlier. The reason that they gave for Sovereignty not running, I shouldn't say the reason because I think horse players are craving the real true reason, but it was basically that Sovereignty, we want him to have a long year and maybe run next year. And to me, it's like, if you're not going to run him in the Preakness, you damn well better run him as a 4-year-old because too many horses are winning this big race, becoming huge in the breeding shed, even if they haven't proven themselves as being able to hand off the pedigree of stamina and speed when you've only seen them run 7, 8, 9 times. So the horses win these big races, and after 3, they're retiring them to stud because they can make a whole ton of money by breeding the horses. So the age that the horses are being retired is getting lower and lower than what it was back in the 70s, 80s. And that's why that question's coming up of is 2 weeks, which is when you go from Derby to Preakness, running horses back on 2 weeks is it doesn't happen now. This is the only time you really see that happen. So we really are craving these 3-year-olds to continue on and run as 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. But there's horses that run, if they're not going to be breeders, they'll run till they're 7, 8, 9 years old. So you'll get a good amount. The quality is not going to be there because the horses that are the best are being put into the breeding shed, which ultimately ends up detracting from the talent that you get from those older horses. So when they say Sovereignty's not running in the Preakness because he's going to have, they're going to focus on the Belmont Stakes, which is being run up at Saratoga. They're going to probably focus on a race up at Saratoga and then run him in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Ideally, he comes back as a 4-year-old and they just don't put him into the breeding shed because that would be, Bill Mott's the trainer of Sovereignty who won the Kentucky Derby. He's forgotten overnight more than I'll ever know about horses. So I'm going to hold back on judgment of Bill Mott and the decision not to run Sovereignty. But I will be angry in a year from now if they decide, he's the 3-year-old, we're going to retire him and he's going to start breeding.
Yeah, well, that's probably, if he wins at Saratoga, he just has sex now for the rest of his life. Like that's what's going to happen. I mean, he'll be the Bonnie Blue of horse racing. He'll just fuck all day and just create more offspring. But that's what happens. And the last, was it remind me, Justify, last Triple Crown winner?
Yep.
Yeah. So like he gets done, he wins the 3 races, and then it's just, let's make more Justifies. That's how it goes, right?
$1 zillion horse right there.
I mean, that's the name of the game. You had another question, Corbie?
Yeah, I've got 3 more. They all are kind of entangled, so it'll be easy. It's easy. It's easy.
Give him one.
That's okay.
You can knock out all 3 of them. I trust you.
All right.
So
I've got 3.
So the first one is, how important is the breed? Like example, you say goal oriented, so my breeder has won 7 or whatever. are the breeders breeding like 1,000 horses? Because if so, then like just sample size wins. I mean, if I breed 1 million horses, I'm going to win this tournament at some point. The second question would be kind of in a similar realm. What is the breed like aspect? Like example, I don't remember the horse you just said. I literally have already forgot. Let's use journalism. Journalism has its seed goes and makes another horse. Is that horse comps, like, do you just instantly assume like it is going to be a bred in a same like is it going to be as skilled as journalism by nature, or is it just still kind of random?
Definitely not random. I mean, the sires, which is the father of the horse, definitely pass along those genes, and that's what makes, that is a big attraction to a lot of horse players who have followed this game for so long. So, one of my first favorite horses was Curlin, who ran back and won the Preakness, I think in 2007 or 2007. He's actually the sire of journalism. So you have these attractions, cool. And then you start to learn those traits that a horse like Curlin or American Pharoah, who obviously is a Triple Crown winner on the dirt, has actually been a really good sire of horses running on the turf. But you only realize that once American Pharoah has his first crop of horses and you start watching them, right? And you start, keeping notes and, okay, American Pharoah, you immediately think dirt, but actually the horses have had a lot of success on the turf. The classic distance is something that you'll always hear about in horse racing. That's the 1.25 miles. That's your big races. That is the Kentucky Derby distance, and that's what they call the classic distance. And which horses can get that distance is always a big question going into the Kentucky Derby, because that's at that point it's going to be the longest race that those horses had run. So Journalism, who ran in the Derby, finishing second behind Sovereignty with Curlin on top, is a perfect example of Curlin. You knew as a racehorse passed along that distance trait to the horses that he has put out. And then the dam has a big important part of that as well. So some the dams are the mothers. They don't run as much. But for example, Puka was the dam of 3 horses that were in the last 3 Kentucky Derbies. So a very rare feat. And Baeza was the horse with Puka, who ran 3rd in the Kentucky Derby last week. So there's absolutely paying attention to the pedigree of the horses and paying attention to, as they start running, then you can start looking, just because Curlin is the sire of this horse, you want to see the horse run 4 or 5 times to see if he's
100%.
Picking up the speed, picking up the distance, because just because the sire is on top doesn't mean the horse is going to be like Curlin.
That was my thought. Like Michael Jordan's son, not a basketball player, but he tried his hardest. And that's
LeBron's son.
Bronny, hey,
not an NBA player. Well, actually, he is an NBA player technically.
But if he had 50 sons, right, you're probably going to.
That's where I was coming at. I was like, man, this just feels like a numbers game.
We have talked way too much about horse sex on this show. Yeah, way too much.
I've got one more, and this one wraps it all up. You gotta trust me here.
And then we're gonna build a bet for the show.
You gotta trust me on this one. All right, listen. I met Sammy P not for one reason, but because of one thing back in the day. And now we've become good friends. I've watched him drink many claws, and that is information. I'm curious, how hard is there I guess non-public information on horses? My assumption is if a horse is sick, he just wouldn't race. Is there the ability to be like, okay, what if Journalism stubbed his toe? I don't know. I mean, what if he got bit by a horsefly and he's just not feeling the best? Do they still race out of peak condition, or is there any way to have any kind of information edge in horse racing?
The information is what makes this sport so attractive to me. It's not really free. There's a lot of services. I can find you ways to get you that information, but as a data person, it's all out there as far as their trends. Every horse gets what they call a speed figure that tries to level the playing field as far as, was it a marathon race or was it a sprint, and was it on the grass or was it on the dirt? And the speed figure tries to put all of that information on how they ran into one number for you. And then you can kind of look and see the trends. So if a horse, is running sprints and getting 80s and then stretches out and goes 1.25 miles and gets a 108, and then goes 1.16 miles and gets a 105, you kind of know, okay, this horse is going to do a lot better at these longer distances. And that's the same thing the trainers are doing as well. If they stub their toe on the morning of the race, that's what X is for, right? That's kind of where horse racing information lives, and people pass along, hey, just heard this, just heard that. There's
my
always that
game.
insider game, right? But you do your best using past performances where it lists all of the horse's previous races, lists who those sires are. I use Equibase. They have a product called Race Lens, which you can go absolutely crazy on data. So for example, prepping for this show, as I always want to come prepared for Sammy P, there's been 11 horses over the last 4 years that went Derby to Preakness. None of them have won, but there have been some horses that have finished second. 3 horses have finished second. 3 horses have finished third. There's some horses, trainers, that point their horse for the Preakness and skip the Derby, like a horse number 6, River Thames, in this race. He could have been in the Kentucky Derby. They said, nope, we're going to aim for the Preakness. So
he's the speed, right? Isn't he the speed? The 6?
The 6 has definitely shown speed. I think the 8, the 9, the 1, there's a lot of speed signed on here. I'm a little wary of River Times in the last race. I just don't know that he's good enough. And he's going to be one is Todd Pletcher and Irad. If you follow horse racing at all, Irad Ortiz is one of the best jockeys in the world. Todd Pletcher is one of the best trainers. He'll take money for that angle there. But you got to make a decision. And for me, 3 of the guys on the channel on Over and Trust the Profits, this is their choice. And the other 3 guys say, you're crazy. River Journalism is gonna run them off their feet. So you get that fun part of parimutuel betting, which is another part of horse racing. He's going to be fresh. So River Thames is definitely a dangerous, sneaky horse in here. If you're going to go
Goal-oriented.
Goal-oriented.
Goal-oriented. Get the lead and sit on it. That's what you got to do, Corbie. On the rail, you get the lead and you
Save
sit
ground.
on it.
I'm excited
Sit
for
on
it.
it.
I'm
All
watching
right,
this 100% now.
Are we I mean, like, should I make, I always ask you the question, I got $100. Should I just bet the 100 on journalism here, or am I overthinking it?
I personally just don't bet big favorites to win in those situations. It's just my own personal style. I know coming from sports betting, you probably think differently. Journalism, I think, will be 3 to 5, 4 to 5. I don't think he's going to go off at 8 to 5. There was a horse by the name of Sandman who ran in the Derby, who took a ton of money. There's a big influencer, Griff Johnson, who's been kind of showing his story of having 2% ownership of a horse. And it's been great attention. Just because of him, I think Sandman is going to take a lot of money again in the Preakness. So for me, if you're asking me, I'm looking at those exactas where you need to pick first place and second place. I think you key journalism. Journalism is your horse that has to win, and then you put 2 or 3 horses underneath, and maybe you do $30, $30 exacta journalism over. And for me, it would be goal-oriented, American Promise. And, I'm kind of just high on those 2, to be honest. So
That's
maybe
fine.
maybe
So
just do $50
we're
journalism over goal-oriented and American Promise.
Okay, so the 2 to win and basically 2-1 or 2-3 is what we're looking at.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Anything else before we let you go? Anything else you want to throw out there before we say goodbye?
I hope we're talking in 2 weeks and you're saying another winner, journalism, as we talk Belmont Stakes.
Well, you might want to do an exacta box because Corbie's really high on goal oriented suddenly, so you might want to go 1-2 just to cover your tracks, just in case we get another second place finish for journalism.
Absolutely. If there's a horse, I think with the value and the ability to do it, it's Bob Baffert on the rail with speed in the Preakness. It's not a bad bet. So you could back that up going 2-1, right? So you go 1-2, 2 over the 1, 2 over the 3, and then 1-2.
All right. I'm going to, before we say goodbye to Colin, I'm going to show you where to follow. I already showed you the Trust the Profits page right here. If you're watching live at
We're
Trust
live
the
now.
Profits. Yeah,
We're
apparently
live
you're live
Tuesday
right
nights.
now. I see that circle right now. I'm like, oh, they're live, and Colin's also live on a different platform.
I'll be jumping over there now. We do Tuesday night Assiniboia live racing. It's a track up in Winnipeg. It's an awesome little boutique track. So if anybody's getting the itch right now, come on over and we'll really dig into those past performances.
And here's where you follow Colin on X at CSheehan45. And I was there that day. That was the day that that picture. I clicked the picture and it took me to the live. That's you playing hockey at Fenway Park. I was the coach that day of that team, I believe.
You were you really didn't do well with the line changes, but it was fun.
Not a hockey coach or a hockey player, and we were outrung by the Red Sox team. They brought in ringers that didn't work for the Red Sox. Fuck them. Anyways, that's Colin Sheehan. Gave us the winner at Churchill Downs, and hopefully another profitable Saturday at the Preakness Stakes. Thank you, pal.
Let's go. Thank you for having me.
All right, there goes Colin Sheehan. Going to jump into another stream. I also got this question, Corbie, and I appreciate, by the way, everybody watching right now, about 1,400 people watching live on YouTube and X. I was going to bring this up from our guy, Alex Smith, but I thought, all right, we've gone down this rabbit hole here. I'm going to try and save us. He asked if horses have nagging injuries. And I'm like, all right, we've already talked about horse sex and breeding, and I want to bring it back to betting. But I imagine they do. I don't want to answer a question that I'm not prepared for, but I'm guessing.
I'll answer it.
Okay, yeah,
I'm a horse guy now.
Yeah,
big horse guy now. My guess is this was my whole I think that they just don't race if they have any kind of injury that is like I think it's like the NBA. They'll toss a Q-tack on a horse yesterday because he didn't eat his milk for breakfast. I'm pretty sure. Again, I've never bet on horses in my entire life, but I think I have heard that. Imagine a horse with a Q tag, Sammy. You're just yeah, he's a game time decision, boys. We're not sure if we're gonna race him.
A cute, yeah. Like Jason Tatum this morning, we were doing bet sweats, and I have my odds logic screen here. I'm actually going to show people and see if it updated. I'm guessing it did. But this morning on this screen, which I use religiously every day during the show and after the show, if you go to the basketball section and click on injuries, obviously you have to toggle to NBA. I know they updated it. Yeah, Jason Tatum right there, out for season with an Achilles. This morning, though, it said Jason Tatum is questionable for Game 5. I'm like, is he though? Is he though?
Scott, my friend Scott, and he works for me, is a big Boston guy, and I got a text from Twitter that was Jason Tatum torn Achilles questionable. I had to send it to him. It was poor guy. I feel bad for the injury, but man, that was just a hilarious message to see.
Yeah, no, it's very sad, and I wish the kid the best. I am sweating the Tigers. I see that they were up 6-3, and now that's tied. Love that. Not. So I took some Detroit today. I faded Bayo, who finally gave up some runs. Bayo's been pitching to an ERA of the low 2s, but his expected ERA was in the 5s, and I think finally gave up some runs today. But I do have a bet. I played San Francisco. I know my friend Rob Goodfella is big on the Giants today. So those were the two baseball bets I made. I went Tigers and Giants, about plus 102 each way. Anything that you have riding, or anything you're going to bet today or tomorrow?
Yeah, I've been betting a lot of player props. I have Andrew Abbott, 6+ strikeouts. I'm watching him right now. He's in a 1-2 count. I need this strikeout because he's starting to fall apart. But I had Bayo earned runs over. So I mean I haven't looked.
I think he get yeah. I mean I've been on the show. I don't know. I mean I saw the Tigers had a big crooked inning. So
yeah,
Bayo,
I had 2.5. Oh,
today gave up. Wow, he gave up 3 runs, 2 earned.
Oh, I had 2.5 earned runs, of course.
6 hits though, 2 walks, a home run. The ERA 2.33. I'll tell you what, man, that's a guy that, and Joe talked about it this morning as well. We've been kind of talking about Bayo for a while. They've won every start he's pitched, and his expected ERA is 3 runs higher. So that'll be a guy that I'll look to fade in the next month or so, 6 weeks, because it's gonna even out. You can't keep giving up 6 hits and walking 3-4 guys and getting away with it. But I need Tigers and I need Giants. I saw this, by the way. If you've parlayed, so the days that the Rockies and the White Sox play together, like on the same day, if you just parlayed the opponents, you're up 12 units this year already. It's May 13th.
It's sounds like a Vegas Dave strategy. You might be onto something there, Sammy. That's 53-0. Winners, winner. Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, they're awful. I will probably I'm not going to say for sure. I don't know the prices right now. I'll probably be on a White Sox over tomorrow. Looks like they used an opener today. So pretty low scoring game right now. I would assume they try to use their closers tonight if this game is any close so that the White Sox can get a win. And then they'll get absolutely crushed tomorrow. It's Nick Lodolo pitching. So if this game stays close, they're going to use closers and they'll be in some trouble. And I did not get my strikeout.
Damn. What's he got right now? 4, 5?
5. I have 5.5. Yeah, 5. I have 5.5 plus 30, I think. So it's a good bet, but we'll see.
Why are these games red? These games are tomorrow. I don't know why that was a little glitch there for a second. So you're going to play the over in Reds White Sox tomorrow?
Yeah, probably. What's the line right now?
You get 8.5 at Pinnacle, but a lot of 9 under 20.
Yeah, I think Circuit opened 9 under 20. I would love an 8.5. I'll probably bet a 9. If I had an 8.5, I would say I'm going to bet it right now. But 9, it'll be hit or miss. I'll probably watch the rest of this game. If you see, I mean, the White Sox don't have a bullpen, but like, let's just say that they had a closer that they consider decent. If they use him, then I'll probably be on a 9.
Okay. Anything else? It's been about an hour and a half here on the show. We got a lot of golf. If you're just joining us, our golf guests, Brady Kannon and James Mazzola, they like Bryson DeChambeau and Xander Schauffele in the outright markets. And Colin Sheehan, who gave us sovereignty at the Kentucky Derby, he likes journalism, the favorite, but he's going to play journalism with the 1 and with the 3, goal-oriented and American promise. And Corbie, who's never bet a horse race, is suddenly smitten by goal-oriented, who morning line 6-1. I can't wait for you to make your first horse bet because of this show,
man.
A lot of good stuff.
I'm gonna go goal-oriented. Journalism, is that called an exacta when you do 2?
The exacta has to happen in that order. So if you do 1, but you can do an exacta box where you can get them either way. So if it goes 1, 2,
1, 2,
1. Okay, you're calling your shot 1, 2. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a high leverage shot. Also, listen, I come here and everyone's making cool bets. So I got to tell you a bet I took for $10. $10.
Mm-hmm.
I did, in fact, bet Tyler Glasnow to win Cy Young, Sam. You know, he's my favorite player in every sport ever. Of course, it's biased. Hear me out. I'll make this as fast as possible. He began pitching again today or yesterday. He's feeling good. Blake Snell didn't begin pitching. He was supposed to. They set him back again. He's going to come in. Suzuki, whoever, the other pitcher hasn't looked good. Dustin May hasn't looked good. Glasnow's about to walk right in to the pitcher 2 for a Dodgers team who's going to win 110 games. I mean, I'm looking at Fangraphs right here. It expects him to pitch 85 more innings the rest of the year. That is not come back fast and leave the season early. He's pitching more than 85 innings. I call it basically 103, which that's 2 extra starts. Sam, clean your ears out. Hear me right. 200-1. Yeah, I mean, we're going to forget this is the best pitcher in baseball last year. Like, yes, he's not going to get many innings pitched. He's not going to win, but I did bet $10 on it. He is the only jersey that I own. It's right over there. So take with it what you want.
Okay. All right. I figured that was coming. So I already have Glasnow in the account from February. So
oh, boy.
We'll see.
Still a good bet.
We'll see where that goes.
CLV is fake when you bet Glasnow. You're all good.
Okay. All right. Good to know. I think that's it. We've got over 1,400 watching live. If you've appreciated, and clearly some of you do to this point, to have that many people watching live, give us a follow. Give us a like on YouTube. You could subscribe to the show. We try to do this show once a week. It will definitely be once a week during football season. But, you know, when you get to May, June, July, there's just not a lot of big events. Football is an event every week. I imagine we're going to do another show next week. And we're going to try and knock out at least 3 a month through the summer. And then when we get into August, we'll be doing a lot of football breakdowns and previews and all that. Buy some merch. By the way, who dressed me this morning? I'm wearing way too much red, and I just realized it. I'm also, surprised you didn't.
Did I ever get a shirt made?
No, I have to get back in the lab there. That's a whole process.
That's crazy.
I'm not a shirt designer. I know. Like, are we gonna do the little pixelated Corbie, like very small on the pocket tee?
He's kind of fire. It was a tribute to Pokemon. Did you play Pokemon
Yes.
back in the day?
I did not, but I know the game. Now,
That was-
what do you
that-
think
that's the
about
guy.
what do you think about a pocket tee with the little guy on the pocket?
Just like sticking right out of it. Like
Yeah.
he's just like looking over the pocket. I'd be here for that. That's
Okay.
a solid one.
We could do it. But yeah, I mean, like the red Mike flag for chicken dinner, the red background, the red UH shirt, go Cougars, Coach Fritz, the Bill on the White Sox hat from 1990.
It's a good team.
Red
White
cup.
Sox.
This is way too much red. I fucked that
All
one
right,
up.
I have to pick your brain on one thing before we leave. I know it's been fucking 6 hours.
No, it's
but
fine. It's fine.
Pete Rose, you here for it? Or you out? I don't know. I don't know enough about it. So
I wish they did
will
it when
say
he was alive. I hate that they
Yeah.
waited until he was dead. That's the worst part. But they
kind
didn't.
of
I
the
was
sentiment I
told.
had.
I was told that they didn't want him to experience the Hall of Fame when he was alive. He died September 2024. So within a
Sounds like-
calendar year.
Sounds like
within-
torture. Like we didn't want you to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
I mean,
Like,
look how
what?
it's playing out. Look how it's
Yeah.
playing out. Oh, now you could put him in. I don't like. He should be.
Yeah.
In, though. It's
I-
never been a character Hall of Fame. I mean, you can't ignore what he did.
Yeah, I my opinion is 0, but it just like my loose opinion. I thought he should have been in, but I have. What do I know?
Well, it's very telling. I mean, you pass away September 30th, 2024, and May 25. It's like, oh, let's put him in.
Yeah,
Couldn't have done that a year ago, 2 years ago. This guy's been the commissioner for a while. So that was talking Pete Rose on Chicken Dinner. Go bet Shoffley, go bet DeChambeau, and Corbie is calling his shot. He's never picked a horse before.
First
but
one.
He likes the one. Goal oriented. All right, buddy. Good to chop it up with
All
you.
right, it was fun.
All right. There goes Corbie Craig. Get better odds. The man. People text me all week. Is Corbie coming on? Is Corbie coming on? Corbie's got a life, but Corbie still makes time for us. God, this is a lot of red. Hit that button. Like this show. Subscribe. I'm going to be betting Bryson and Xander. And I think you're able to get decent prices. Well, not I think. I know, because there's so much financial liability on Scheffler and on Rory. Maybe you've heard Rory's won here a couple times. Go down the board. You'll be rewarded. Cash some tickets. Make some money. We'll talk to you next time right here on Chicken Dinner.